What's up, San Antonio Sparce fans? My name is Indomitable Will, and I am bringing you our draft recap for a new draft league that we joined, the TGR Feisty Friends. So, what this league is it is a level 50 Wi-Fi league. However, the catch is anything can terrestrialize, but the only Pokemon that are allowed are baby Pokemon. You know, the Pokemon that would usually cost like 1 or 2 points in a league, or the Pokemon that people would never really draft because their stats are so low. The reason why I specified this is level 50 is normally Little Cup is played at level 5. This is a little bit different. We still have item clause here. However, we are allowed to run 2 Eviolites and 1 of any other item. So, I'm going to break down the team I drafted. And, I used my little knowledge of Little Cup to carry over to this. So, one of the few things I knew about Little Cup going into the draft was that fighting types are very strong. And that leads us to our first pick, which is not normally even allowed in Little Cup because it is unobtainable at level 5, Cubfu. Cubfu, you know, it evolves into Urshifu. Urshifu, great mon. Cubfu has inner focus, which means it cannot be flinched and it cannot get intimidated, which is pretty big in a format like this. Also, it has stab close combat, which is really, really strong, having that base 120 stab. It also gets access to U-turn, which means it can pivot and is a strong Terra user. And it has really high stats overall for Pokemon in this format. Up next, we wanted a strong Ghost type to pair with our Fighting type. And this is one of our favorite baby Pokemon in general. We have Hisui and Zorua, which it makes like a fighting ghost offensive core, which I believe is very, very strong in this format. Of course, I'm not super knowledgeable on the format, but from what I've heard, it's very, very strong. Also able to pivot with U-turn, and also a faster pivot in base 70 speed. Cubfu has base 72, which both are seemingly fast in this format. And the ghost typing helps Cubfu out, because Hisui and Zorua's only weakness is dark, which Cubfu destroys for it. Up next, we have our Stunky, which is our third pick overall. Stunky, you know, it has access to Toxic Spikes, which is really good. It's also relatively fast. I believe Stunky has base 74 speed, which is really solid here. You know, it got things like Knockoff, Gunk Shot. Overall, I think Stunky's just a really, really valuable piece. And I'm happy to pick it up third overall. Especially, we're going, once again, with a Mon with only 1 weakness. Stunky's being ground. Up next, we have Alola and Sandshrew, and that's going to segue into our next pick as well, which is Alola and Vulpix. I wanted to get a Snow Core. I could afford it point-wise, and I felt like, you know, weather is one of the stronger things you can do in this format. Cubfu gets things like Swords Dance, Hisui and Zorua gets Nasty Plot, so we went with kind of a Veil offense plan here, and Sandshrew being able to terrestrialize with the Slush Rush up is also pretty big. Okay, up next we have our Numel, which is our ground type and our fire type of the roster. Numel has the ability Simple, which is really, really nice. Because it gives all of its setup moves, Stockpile, Flame Charge, Growth, just lets it set up by an additional stage. Numel has a way of boosting all of its stats in some way or another. And with Eviolite, it can be a really, really strong sweeper. Up next, we have Pikipek, which... so, fun fact, we had 60 points for this draft, and things capped out at 10. My Alolan Vulpix pick was 10, and Kubfu was 9, for instance. I was told Pikipek was a bit under-tiered at 4 by my friends who knew a little bit more about Little Cup. And so I took Pikipek because Pikipek, it's strong for this format. It's fast. It gets moves such as Brave Bird, Knockoff, U-Turn, Roost. It also gets Skunk Shot, which is very strong against like the fairy types in this format. It gets things like Flame Charge, Brick Break, Bullet Seed with Skill Link. Pikipek just has a lot of options it can go for, and that makes it a very, very appealing option here, especially for 4 points. I believe that was the steal of the draft. Up next, we have Dewpider, and originally I did not draft Dewpider. It actually got sniped from me. However, it was dropped in the grace period. And I believe Sticky Webs is exactly what I needed because even though my team is relatively well speed balanced, there are faster mons in this format. Things such as like Apom being base 85 speed. And Dewpider will allow me with Sticky Webs to outspeed those with my offense, which is really, really helpful. So in the grace period, originally in this spot we had Choodle, but we ended up dropping Choodle because Dewpider giving us the Sticky Web option for our offense is really, really, really handy. Up next we have Bounsweet, which was a 1-pointer. We kind of needed removal on the team, and we needed a grass type to finish out that Fire, Water, Grass core. And so I picked Bounsweet. You know, it gets Rapid Spin. It gets access to, like, Leaf Storm, which is a really strong grass move. It gets utility options such as Screens and Rapid Spin, like I previously mentioned. So overall, just solid 1-point value. And then finally, our last pick is also a 1-pointer. We have Tyrogue. Once again, I hear that fighting types are exceptionally powerful in this format. Tyrogue seem like one of the only usable 1-pointers left. So, it has Fake Out, it has Bullet Punch, so it has some priority options. And yeah, that's the team. Let me know what y'all think of it in the comments down below. And I will see you guys next Monday for our Week 1 game against DJS and his Tentacool Pirates. Uploads for this will be going live every Monday, so stay tuned.